Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Roadhouse. This was a movie I was pretty excited about because my favorite actor's in it, Jake Gyllenhaal. So I had pretty high expectations for this movie. Now, in terms of Roadhouse, I didn't really know too much about Roadhouse. Probably about a couple days ago, the only thing I knew about Roadhouse was from like Family Guy, the Family Guy meme, Roadhouse. But
Roadhouse.
I never watched the original until a couple days ago. So this movie, I didn't really know too much going into it. So I watched the original first, then I watched the remake, and yeah, and both movies are very over the top, cheesy action movies. These are not movies that are really supposed to be taken seriously. They're very much, B movies in a way. Almost B movies pretty much, I would say. But I was still excited for this movie because I enjoyed the original. I thought the original was pretty fun. It was very entertaining. I thought Patrick Swayze did a good job. So I was just like, this remake could be pretty good, if not even better. Hopefully, the remake is even better. It's directed by Doug Liman, uh, director of Edge of Tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So he's made really good movies. So between Jake Gyllenhaal and the director Doug Liman, I was very excited for Roadhouse. The expectations were high. Um, and so, what did I think about the movie? Um, I thought the movie was okay. I wasn't uh, I didn't think the movie was terrible. I didn't think the movie was great. I would say it's somewhere in the middle for me, maybe a little bit above that. I really liked the action. I thought the action in the movie was very, very well done. It had great hand to hand combat, like UFC type fighting, mixed martial arts. I thought they did really well there. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was really good in the movie. I think he's always really good. Maybe I'm biased, but I thought this was another really good performance. Ever since I'd say Spider-Man No Way Home or Spider-Man Far From Home, I would say ever since then he's been trying to do a lot more um, fun type movies instead of the usual dark movies that he used to do, like Nightcrawler, Prisoners, Zodiac. I can go on and on. The dude's made a bunch of really good dark thrillers, but lately it's been more like action oriented, fun action movies. And this is another one of them. This is another fun action movie. It's very cheesy. This is a very cheesy movie, like I said. It's very over the top. Things happen that you're just kind of like, okay, this would never happen in real life. It's kind of like Fast and Furious type, where you're just like, okay, people are flying through the air. People are, you know, going through things that would absolutely kill them. But it's that's just what Roadhouse is. That's how the original is, and this one is the same thing. It does uh, a lot of the same formula, even though it's kind of a reimagining. There's differences between this one and the original. Like he's a UFC fighter in this one, and the original he's just kind of a bouncer. So I like that there was changes in this one. It wasn't just a straight up copy and paste like you see with a lot of Disney movies. This was actually a kind of a different take, even though the story was still very similar. But that being said, uh, I was entertained by this movie. I was very entertained by this movie. I thought this was a very entertaining movie. It had a lot going for it. It had a pretty decent cast. It had a really entertaining rivalry between Jake and the person I'm going to be talking about in a few minutes or a few seconds, whatever. Um, and yeah, it was entertaining. I had a good time. It was a fun movie. The movie is supposed to just be a fun, good time. You're not really supposed to take it seriously, like I said. Uh, this isn't really a dramatic movie. This movie is not supposed to try and get any Oscar wins. They know exactly what they're doing with this movie. It's just supposed to be kind of like dumb, fun action, and it achieves that. It gets that right. But in terms of the chemistry, in terms of comedy, I would, in terms of story, I would say all of those don't exactly land all the time. In terms of comedy, the movie can be funny for sure. There are funny moments throughout, but there were definitely moments where I'm like, okay, they're trying a little too hard. You don't need to try hard. Like this is just, let's just, let's stop. Let's just get back to the action, or if anything, because the comedy's just not working in certain scenes in this movie. And when it comes to stories all over the place. But to be honest, that's how it is in the original. It's not exactly a good story. It's kind of all over the place. It's messy. It's not very good story. But again, the real focus of the movie is Jake Gyllenhaal and the action. Really, I mean that those are the main focuses. And then Conor McGregor, who I will get to now. Conor McGregor is getting a lot of flack for this performance. A lot of people think he was terrible in the movie, but I just don't see it. I mean, this was, you got to see it as this is his first ever performance. This guy's a UFC fighter. He doesn't act, okay? This isn't something that he does all the time. So I thought he did a fine job. I thought he did okay. It was, he did exactly they what the film wants him to do, what the director wants him to do, which is pretty much just be chaos, like Conor McGregor usually is. You see him in all of his, all the times he promoted his fights, he was always kind of crazy like that. He just basically does that in the movie, which I guess you could say, oh, he's playing himself, but I mean, he does a fine job doing it. I don't know. I thought it was a fine performance. You know, uh, I thought it was entertaining every time he was on screen. I didn't have a problem with him in the movie. I thought he did a perfectly okay job, especially that it was his first ever movie performance. You know, so I didn't have a problem with Conor McGregor overall. But then in terms of chemistry, Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have a whole lot of chemistry with the main actress. I like her a lot, but from Suicide Squad, I thought she was great in Suicide Squad. But overall, I didn't really buy into the romance too much. It wasn't fully fleshed out. A lot of things in this movie aren't really fleshed out well. There's a lot of storylines that they try and hint at, or they'll talk about a little bit, but they never fully invest in those storylines. And I was kind of frustrated by that, because I think you can make a really good Roadhouse movie. Honestly, I think the ingredients are there to make a great Roadhouse movie. And for whatever reason, I think of Top Gun as like a prime example of getting like characters right, and an ensemble, and a summer blockbuster, because this movie is trying to be a summer blockbuster. It really is trying to be a summer blockbuster, but it just doesn't really fully get there. It tries, but I don't see it as a summer blockbuster like Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick, that movie did everything right. But this movie, it just does, it's not, it's almost feels like it's half there. It's half baked. Half of the movie is really well made, really well done, and enjoyable, but then the other half isn't fully fleshed out, or not exactly funny, even though it's trying to be. So I mean, I think there's just a lot of elements that aren't fully there, where I think they could have done much better at. They could, like I'm saying, they could make a really good movie with this premise. But it's I you know it is what it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, they are trying to make a entertaining action movie, and they do that. I mean, they make an entertaining action movie. There's not much you can really ask for, other than that. But again, there was just a lot missing from this movie, in my opinion. There's certain, like I said, there's certain storylines that just don't get resolved. And for me, the ending of the movie was almost a little, in a way, like anticlimactic, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But I will say that the action, like I said, the action sequences in this movie are fantastic. And again, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is very charismatic in the role. I think he did a really good job with what he had overall. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, overall, I'd give this movie. I'm leaning between a 6 and a 7, but again, because there's so many unresolved storylines and uh not enough chemistry there with a lot of characters, because of those reasons, I think I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But again, I still enjoyed the movie. I still thought it was very entertaining, but I guess I wanted more. I guess I was a little disappointed. I guess uh I was expecting more, I guess, overall with the director's past filmography, and obviously Jake Gyllenhaal, even though I thought he was really good, but I just think that there it wasn't exactly as it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be overall. But again, I still enjoyed it overall. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. More reviews on the way, and all right, I'll see you guys. Peace.